Hello everybody and welcome to the TVG GR86 series here from the Tanso Racing Group. We're here for the final round of the season as we've come through 7 rounds and 14 races to bring us to this point ahead of the final pair of races. It's myself, Ewan, alongside Dean Biggles this time round. The finale in the championship. Don't forget that next week our new series will be starting, the GR86 UK Cup, visiting all 7, I believe all 7 of the UK circuits right on the way up towards Christmas, broadcasted live here on the JPB YouTube channel all throughout that season as well, to bring us to the end of 2024. So we very much look forward to that. Don't forget you can still get yourself signed up for it as well if you would like. The website link to the Tanso Racing Group is in our description. Biggles, it's good to be alongside you once again. It's qualifying we've just got going on at the moment, and we're at summit point for GR86 racing. Even this circuit, I think, is going to be suited to these GR86s. I thoroughly enjoy watching these cars race, and there is literally no circuit in which I think they race badly around. So looking forward to this and the 2 races we've got coming up tonight.
Yep, exactly. The finale, as you said, this track is certainly one that could be quite tricky. It's like a backyard little race track that's been around for donkey's years, hasn't it? And it's good. It's good to be back in the booth with you. It's been some while there, Ewan. Surrounded by
A very long
talent,
time.
my friend. You know, a very very well experienced commentator these days, and you're still only a young puppy.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's good to be back again. It is. Let's just remind you of the championship standings. Actually, by the way, I can't show them on the screen, but I'll just tell you about them going into this round of the championship. Scott McFall is obviously the champion in Pro. He's won all 12 of the races so far, and he's been absolutely dominant. He's once again on pole for this round of the championship, ahead of Jack Holland. Holland can move up, I think, into second place ahead of Alan McCain today, although he would need a minor miracle to move up there. He looks like he's going to secure third. In Pro-Am, we were enjoying the closest battle of them all, actually, up until recent weeks. 55 points between Andy White and Dan Forster now, who's moved up into second, and Peter Duke, who's down to third, only 2 points ahead of Peter Woodmore. So it looks like Andy White has got that sealed as well. And in Am, Terry Atkinson has just begun to pull away. 68 points now ahead of Sean Atkinson, first and second. Tim Walters, John Johnson and Michael Bester round out the top 5 there in the AM standings as well. So it looks like all 3 of our championship leaders are going to hold on to that through the final round of the championship as well. So that's nothing too much to worry about. Qualifying seems to be just about over then. It is a short circuit, but qualifying could be relatively important. It's not the easiest circuit to pass around, although there will be plenty of opportunities around this circuit. So the session that we've just seen come to a close here looks like it will be a relatively important one. And it looks like Scott McFall has taken his 6th pole position of the season.
Good place to start, of course, on the front row, and as you can see through the rest of the field from the Pro AMs and the AM class. So very much... we'll just see, because it looks like it's definitely wrapped up at the moment, isn't it, mate? I don't think you have enough time to get out there and put a banker in now when they're doing 1 minute 19 flats is the target time that I don't think anybody's going to beat. Scott McFall should have that one.
Absolutely. By the way, we've only got one driver not having set a time. That's Curtis Matthews at the back. Now, it doesn't look like he's going to be setting a time at all, because we're in the final minute of qualifying now. Worth reminding you, of course, that he is away at the moment, and he's transported his rig over to where, I don't know where he's working actually in the world, but he's away for work anyway, and he's put his stuff up into a suitcase, packed it all, and made a sort of makeshift portable sim rig, if you like, from away from home. So it's good that he's still racing with us on some sometimes slightly dodgy hotel Wi-Fi, but he was okay last week, so I'd expect he will be this week. And getting used to a new sim rig as well, which is going to be very, very difficult indeed when you get used to your equipment and suddenly have to move it across to wherever he is, and that can be tricky to get used to.
I've travelled around the world, and I've carried my computer in my suitcases, packed it up and stuff like that with the monitors and the basic essentials, not the actual heavy components per se, like the case and the power supply. But I imagine racing rig and the pedals and your steering and all that sort of jazz, that went quite a bit. So, yeah, exactly. And out there, Sean saying, cheers, buddy. And Michael was saying, good luck to Sean as well, too. So that's it. So we're going to get ready for our Heat 1, and let's go over that grid anytime in a second, my friend.
Yes, no formation lap, of course. It's a standing start, so we'll rattle through these 21 as quickly as possible. That was maybe a bit too quick. Here we go. It's going full. We'll be on pole ahead of Jack Holland and Mark Brown. The Pro-Am pole sitter will be Andy White ahead of Scott Brown. Peter Duke will be 6th in the Proams. Then it's another Pro, Alan McCain. Then 3rd in Proams, Peter Woodmore. Craig Courish and Dan Forster round out the top 10, with Jeremy Ullermans ahead of Am pole sitter Tim Walters, who will be starting from 12th place. Adrian Hatfield is the last of the Proams in 13th, ahead of James Hillick in 14th. Sean Atkinson and Michael Vester on row 8, ahead of Terry Atkinson and Scott Bell. Ben Groves and Clyde come for the final drivers to set times, with Curtis Matthews at the back of the grid. He will be our 21st and final driver to not only get underway here, but actually to get onto the grid as well. And here we go. The lights on and out. Here for the final round of the season. The TVG TR86 series set to come to its conclusion with race 1 here at Summit Point. Down into turn 1 they go. Scott McFall initially moving over to the left-hand side, then the middle, just to put off Brown and Holland from going for a move here. Brown does get up to 2nd place. He dives down the inside ahead of Holland. Then it's Andy White going side by side with the Scott Brown, that is. Mark Brown is in 2nd place. Don't let that confuse you. On the way up towards turn number 3, it looks like it is going to be White who takes that position and gets up into 4th place. 2 positions now ahead of his nearest Pro-Am rival at the end of the opening sector of this race.
What a good launch. This top 3 is starting to build a little bit of a gap at the moment there. So Mark Brown getting the jump on Mr. Holland into that P2 position, putting huge pressure right now on Scott McFall, our pole sitter, as the rest of the field will snake their way through safely. No dramas so far on the first lap, at least in the first sector.
Good to see as we make our way through this awkward sort of chicane section. This is route 7, 8 and 9. And then you're out towards the final corner at turn 10, which is really important, of course, for your run onto the home straight, and more importantly, your biggest passing opportunity on this very short circuit. Out through that final corner they go. There's a look at them at absolute maximum velocity. Over the line they go. Scott McFall leads ahead of Mark Brown, then Jack Holland, the top 3. They were building a bit of a margin, but White has got the slipstream. He's closing back in again. Holland has a look at the inside. He can't go for the move. The top 7 stay single file. You've got to go back to 10th for side by side as Tim Walters, the Am leader, passes Courish in the Pro-Am class for 10th place overall.
This is where you'd expect to see those overtaken opportunities into turn 1, and certainly have got a nice battle brewing in the mid-pack. You could throw a blanket over them. Still no changes at the top end of the business with those top 3 still going for it, but I believe at the moment there's not so much of a gap that's formed, so they're starting to, the rest of the pack starting to catch them.
Yeah, it's getting close back up again as they go down the hill here at turn 4 and 5. And the slower section I was talking about a little bit ago. There's a view of the chicane. The sweepers through the middle. That gap, by the way, you can see really developing, is happening in front of Peter Woodmore here. So the top 7 are breaking away from the rest, as we've been talking about. And then it's Woodmore at the front of a sort of second group here. But it's very noticeable, a very big gap considering we're only 3 minutes into the race.
Let's see how it pans out. The closest it's going to be maybe around Alan McCain there, and Scott Brown as an opportunity into turn 1. We'll see if that's going to pan out for him anytime soon there, Ewan. As you can see, get tucked up there on a nice slipstream. Let's have a look. 2 for 1 special. Could even be available from Alan if he can get on a loud pedal, but unfortunately have to tuck in behind. Oh, Birdseye. He could get it!
Oh!
He could get a 2 for 1. He has!
Brown.
And that's because of the wreck.
Brown goes for a spin, and McCain avoids and moves up to 4th place. Andy White will be down to 5th, but he's severely delayed, and there's bigger delays behind. Let's see what happened, though. It was Scott Brown down the inside of Andy White, a bit too hot. He just loses the rear end. White slows down to avoid the incident, but someone gets caught up and actually drives across the nose of Scott Brown there. And they both get back going again. That was Peter Duke, by the way, in the orange, who got caught up with Scott Brown. Didn't really have anywhere to go, and was severely delayed, unfortunately, as a result of that spin.
And just like that, that's what happens when you get a little bit too greedy and then you lock the brakes and get spinning around. And unfortunately, it puts Scott Brown all the way back 13 positions to P18. Jack Holland, I was going to say Jack M. Holland at the moment, putting some pressure on Mark Brown. Scott McFall, they don't want to let him get away too far up the road, keeping him honest, and he's about half a second gap. These are the top three. And then you got a 2-second gap back to Alan McCain, my friend, in the P4.
That's a real big gap that's opened up after that incident as we look down in towards turn number 1 here. Holland in the slipstream of Brown, Mark Brown that is, and he can't quite get through. He sticks in behind. I wonder whether that was intentional. I bet that it was. The Pro-Am lead also being fought over now between Andy White and Peter Woodmore. This is back in Am, a bit further back as Adrian Hadfield tries to get his way through on some of the Ams. That's Michael Vester he's just dispatched of there in the red. Further up, Corish and Forster also going side by side. There's a lot going on here in the opening 5 minutes. It was a clean start and a relatively quiet start, actually, but the laps afterwards have been a little bit louder. There's a lot going on on the racetrack at the moment.
Oh, I tell you what, Jackie, you get on the racetrack at the moment. He goes a little bit wide there as the top two are battling. Look at that, Mark Brown's actually starting to put some pressure. So Scott must have made a little bit of a mistake now. Half a second gap is now reduced to 3/10, and pressure on Scott. He now have to do a bit of mirror driving as he wants to hold on to this Heat 1 race.
Let's see as they make their way in towards the final corner. Of course, for those that don't know, another race coming up later on tonight. 25 minutes for that second race, but a top 6 reverse grid. Not a big reverse grid, I know, but it does make things interesting in the second race, especially for people like Scott McFall, we haven't had to see battle very often this season. Always forced to, by as he has all season so far, starting from 6th place. Will he do that again here, or will he be under a bit more threat? It is impressive for Mark Brown and Jack Holland to be here at the moment, so close to Scott McFall. When you've got a driver who's won the first 12 races in a row, can come into a race pretty demoralised that you're not going to catch him and that nothing's going to happen. However, they've stuck with him very well so far, although Brown makes a small mistake there.
I was going to say, Brown looks like he completely went off the racing track at the moment. Lap deleted, sorry. That was Formula 1. It would be, but you're not going to gain too much time in there. As you can see, swing it over to the left-hand right, and then spot the apex, hug it like your favourite grandma, as Martin Brundle would say, and get on the power. Look at the exit speed that Scotty has through the S's there. Just a little bit much more confident, doesn't he?
Yeah, it does a little bit. Dan Forster's off the road, by the way. Not sure where that's happened, but he is dropping down the order quite quickly. There he is rejoining down at turn 7. So we'll have a look at what happened there in towards the downhill braking zone. It's really tricky, this braking zone here, and you see why there might have been an incident. Brakes too late. Oh, he just hits the back of the driver in front of him, and then he's sort of caught up on the inside, then eventually re-emerges. Needs to avoid that tyre wall and the grass bank on the left-hand side there, and does. But that's a costly error for Dan Forster, who was near the podium places in Pro-Am. Now he's running down in 7th.
Side by side, good battle for P2 at the moment. I think at the moment there that Jack Holland has been waiting. He's like, come on, Mr. Brown, you've had a chance to attack our race leader and you haven't quite got the job done. Let me give it a shot, side by side through here. I don't think they can do this.
Whoa, they've gone off, I'm afraid. Holland there through the gravel. Brown looking like he might have just given that place up afterwards, although it's not entirely civil between the two. Now Holland is through into 2nd place in the pro standings, so he's now past Brown, but look at the gap, 1.8 seconds to Scott McFall. There'll be no slipstream from back there. It will be very impressive indeed if Holland could get back into the slipstream with the race leader from here.
Yeah, it's going to actually allow this battle. It's definitely allowed Scotty to run away with up the road here by about 2 seconds as these two are battling for 2 for now. Don't keep an eye out there for Alan McCain. That's actually taken a little bit of advantage to the British driver 313 machine because he's now starting to see them running really wide there. Jack, huge off-track moment. Hasn't really given him that much. Well, Mark Brown really more of an advantage on that one, has it? But Mark Brown now is going to be on the tailpipe of the 325 machine. Is he going to send one up the inside? No, he's going to set a dummy and say, hey, I'm here. These two are going for it 2 for now, though, Ewan.
Absolutely are. This might be one of the best battles to the end of the race now between these two, now especially that they're not worried about the race leader, Scott McFall, anymore. Andy White still leading in Pro-Am ahead of Peter Woodmore, then Craig Curris, who is 3rd in Pro-Am, and Jeremy Ullemans as well. They're all in one group as well. Tim Walters and Sean Atkinson also nose to tail for the lead in AM. So good to see that podium places in all three classes are very close, including this one. Holland there having to take a defensive line on the way towards turn 5 as Brown begins to heap that pressure on into the braking zone. Couldn't do it this time round. He's still looking to retake that place he lost a couple of laps ago.
This is going to be crucial, these corners at the moment here for Brown, because if he can get on the bumper right there of Jack Holland, he can certainly get a good exit out of the final corner, and that's where you're going to get that overtaking opportunity to turn 1. So that's what's going to be focused on right now. Just to get in that slipstream, just tuck up on the gearbox, and then let's see if he's going to send it.
At the final corner, Brown with a decent run. He's just quarter of a second back here. You see from the onboard the slipstream that he's getting now compared to Jack Holland, who is not going to defend. Does he feel defenceless on the way towards turn 1? Oh, that's very late from Brown. He very nearly hit Holland there at the rear. He brakes late, very late indeed. And he's going to go for the cutback, it's Holland, because of the late braking from Mark Brown. But we've seen this before. We've seen them go side by side through turn 3 before, or try to, and it didn't work. What about this time round? Holland has to brake early this time round, and Brown does have his position back again.
Well, that is some serious driving, isn't it? Because this is not an easy track. Once you get that overtaking opportunity done into turn 1, you've still got to navigate yourself to turn 2, turn 3, and so forth to continue. So, job done there for now. Once again, just allow Scotty to get up the road, isn't it? Now 3.5 seconds. Both these drivers have got to really be thinking Ewan at the moment. This is a battle for P2. I don't think they're going to be able to get P1 unless, of course, Mr. Scotty up the road there makes a mistake.
I would be very surprised if he does. There was a brief lead change, by the way, in AM. Tim Walters is still holding the lead, though, ahead of Sean Atkinson, who was the one trying to overtake him. Briefly overtaken as well by Adrian Hadfield, but Atkinson's got that position back as well. So it's as you were, really, in that battle for 9th position. This was the battle. Tim Walters defending on the inside line. Atkinson giving it his all on the outside, but it was a rapidly diminishing return for him out there. And then here went Hadfield. Atkinson straight into the side of him, almost to stop his momentum. And there he goes into the side of him again. He holds the inside line for turn 3, though. We've seen that be important in the past. And it was again for Sean Atkinson there. Although that wasn't all that he needed. He would eventually get the pass done, or repass done, towards the next braking zone as they go through the bottom of the circuit there. You can see, well, the race leader, Scott McFall, continues on. He is leading the way ahead of these two, who are very much resigned now to a battle for second place.
Yeah, so good battles going on all over the shop here at this track, and still these two are going for it tooth and nail. Then you got a bit of a battle that's brewing up there around the P7th and 8th spot here, and lovely countryside track here, perfect racing conditions as you can see. Another opportunity once again. What do you think? He's got a very good exit this time around, hasn't he, for Jack? He's going to probably get Mr. Brown before you get into the final turn, although he wisely will lift off a little bit and then consider turn 1 again. Now, are we going to go the same? Is this going to be a deja vu again? What's going to happen here, Ewan?
Yeah, is Brown going to do something a little bit different to try and hold him back? I wonder. I'm not sure. It looks like these two are relatively happy to let the other try and go down the inside into these into turn 1 especially, but no, not this time. Holland doesn't go for the move, even though the door was open for him there, and I'm a little bit surprised by that. Wasn't surprised like you to see him stay behind through the final corner. You do very rarely see or overtake through there, I should say. However, much more likely in towards turn number 1, which Holland decided simply not to do that time. As meanwhile, Scott Brown trying to get back through on Atkinson, and they go either side of Walters. There's been an incident here for the AM leader, because Tim Walters has got no speed on the exit of turn number 1. And Sean Atkinson's there in the front, but he's made contact with Brown, and Walters has to go into the gravel to avoid him and retake the AM lead.
He's been turned, yeah, on that one, exactly. It's all because of the concertina effect of Tim Walters going off track, and because of that, that's just to label that. We'll go back and actually have a look at the replay in a second, because there is some at the action. I don't want to miss that action that's brewing up there, but it looks like they may have just sorted themselves out there for a second, but I'll go back and have a look at that. That's exactly because Tim just went off track, my friend, and this is where it kind of went, well, actually further up, this is where Tim went off track. My apologies, that was a little bit after. So he's all by himself a little bit, just cruising along, 67 machine, as you said, leading in class, and then this little mistake here adds that concertina effect, as you saw. Then the reaction. 3 into 1 didn't quite work. Caught off guard. And then this is where the door banging action happens just up the road. And then, as you're going to quickly see at the replay, unfortunately, just like that, you get turned. The momentum in there. Good call from Timmer to go really wide into the kitty litter to avoid that one.
And good save from Scott Brown as well to keep things going in the right direction. But I'm afraid for Sean Atkinson, that means he drops back. He's now actually behind Terry Atkinson down the field in the AMs. Of course, he and Tim Waters are fighting for second place in the AM Championship, so it's not great news, I'm afraid, for Sean Atkinson here tonight, as we have just less than 6 minutes remaining in this opening race of the evening. Got to say, it's been a good opening race so far. Still plenty to decide, including this fight for second place, which it's difficult to see being decided until the very end of this race, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's the case that Jack knows, okay, if I get a good launch down into turn 1 and just fully send it, can I perhaps get that job done? But what happens goes around, comes around. Mark Brown will be very much aware of that. So if he does it too soon, if Jack does it too soon, Mark will be able to come back. So perhaps it's one of those last lap lunges to get the job done. Hello, Phil, out there. And, of course, the boss, Tanso Racing Group, is looking. So thank you very much, as well as everybody else tuning in. Missed you, Phil.
That's good. Yeah, good evening to you all, of course. As always, for second stage as you were through turn 1 this time around. We've had a good season here at the Tanso Racing Group so far. Good to be back for the UK Cup next season, starting next week. You can sign up for that, of course. Visit the website if you want to do that. There is a link to that in the description, and we'd very much like to have you here for the next season. Meanwhile, Craig Corrish looking up the inside of Peter Woodmore here in towards turn 4 and 5. That's not going to happen for him. Corrish stays behind again and very nearly hits the back of Woodmore again in towards the tight left-hander, but he's okay, and this battle for second will continue on.
This is crucial, of course, for the Pro-M class battle, as you can currently see in your pictures. Just different racing lines that some of the drivers are electing. Craig using a little bit more of the track. Very, very bumpy, as you can see, so you don't want to get on the loud pedal. Certainly on those bumps, it lifts the car up there and you're going to follow some wheel slip, and then all of a sudden you're going to be facing in the wrong direction. So the rest of the battle up the front has kind of eased off a little bit. Now there's about a second gap between Jack Holland and Mark Brown, and then that's a 4-second gap down the road there to Alan. So that's the situation currently at the moment there, Ewan.
Yep, that's where we are. Just 3.5 minutes remaining. That should be 3 laps to go here as well. Should be with where Scott McFall is on the circuit just for the moment. And just as we're getting towards the end of this race, the battles are starting to just quieten down a little bit. But there is still plenty to watch here on the circuit, and of course another race still coming up after this. The top 6 overall will be reversed, so it matters where people are overall at the end of this race. 1, 2 and 3 at the moment is Scott McFall, Mark Brown and Jack Holland. Then you've got Andy White, who is at the front of Pro-Am, right in with Alan McCain as things stand, as well as this battle for second place in Pro-Am. So not only is this important for their individual races, but I think this will give them pole for race 2 as well. I think this is a battle for 6th overall. It is indeed. Woodmore versus Corrish is the battle for pole in race 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So who wants to? Would you really make that overtake so that you can lose that pole position? It's hard to tell the driver not to try to seize an opportunity if gap car, but depends if they're thinking strategy, of course, as you said, the next race coming up. So that's that battle. Further up the road, you got Andy White applying some pressure to Alan McCain. And that's the battle for P4 currently. And you'd have to give it to Alan McCain. 3 positions gained. And hoping to make those 3 positions gained if he can hold off Andy White currently at the moment, applying pressure.
Of course, the point system means that these drivers score as an overall in the... as a class-based system, not the overall. Apologies, they score as a class-based system, and that means that effectively overtakes made on people not in your class don't gain you any points in the race, unfortunately. As over the line goes Scott McFall, towards the final corner goes Scott McFall. I'm not entirely sure whether this is towards the end of the penultimate lap or the 3rd last lap now, because I I was pretty adamant there was only 3 laps to go, a couple of laps ago, but I might not be right. As McFall makes his way up towards the line now, still over 1 minute 20 on the clock there. We're doing 1:19s here, so he will cross the line with mere seconds remaining and will force on an extra lap here for everybody. So hopefully everybody's got enough fuel. I would imagine that they do. Scott McFall now just continuing to cruise to a victory by the looks of things. Will there be a change for 4th place? Andy White not going for it. He realises, of course, that he's got the class win at the moment. Doesn't need any more overtakes for him to gain any more points. He is already leading, of course, and deciding not to pass Alan McCain here.
Oh, Jack Holland's putting a bit of pressure on there. We kind of expected this for the last lap between the battle for P2, and it's on for young and old. Problem is, at the moment, where do you get the overtake done? He's going to absolutely try to force Mark Brown into a mistake here, because usually those overtakes are done on lap turn 1. But you're not going to get to turn 1 because the race is going to be over for the heat race. So let's see what Jack can do here.
Let's see. He's not got long left to figure this one out now. I personally think he's been waiting around for the last laps, to be honest. He's decided, if I go through now, there's almost no point because I'll just be re-overtaken and I'll be back to where I was. I'll have to do it again, etc. So he's just had to stay behind for the moment. He's elected anyway to stay behind. And he is going to try and come through again at a later date as Scott McFall does go over the line there with seconds remaining. And we do have one more lap. The white flag will now be out and everybody knows it's the last chance in towards turn 1, including Mark Brown, who defends for all he's worth down the inside. Jack Holland will be forced to the outside line. He's going to have to brake super late, but has he done it? Brown parks the car expertly on the apex there of turn 1, and he's now away that best overtaking opportunity for Jack Holland.
Yeah, you wonder if Jack was, if both the drivers were aware, with 1 second left, they were going to get this final lap in. Well, it has been decided, so they did. So what if Scotty actually lifted off a little bit just to allow this last lap to do? Because there's no threat to Scotty. 6 seconds to change up the road. He's got this one, but these two, here we go. I'm going to sit there's a late dunge. And if I was Alan McCain that's running back at P4, he'd be hoping these two to come together because he's got a 6-second gap, and they collided. So there it is.
Oh, they have collided. So as he was hoping for, Holland's off the road. He turns around right in front of McCain, who goes through. Oh, he's going to lose his top 6. Jack Holland has had a disaster, I'm afraid. He drops down to 8th place as Orlemans gets through as well. Meanwhile, out of the final corner comes Scott McFall. He's going to win his 13th race of the season in just 13 appearances. Another domination from Scott McFall in this series, as behind him Mark Brown survives the late onslaught to finish 2nd. Alan McCain's on the podium in 3rd. Andy White is the Pro-Am winner in 4th. He was closed in on it towards the end there, but he still finishes top step for the Pro-Ams. As further behind, Tim Walters comes round the final corner. He's going to win here and Am and get a little bit closer to Sean Atkinson in the championship after a very good performance from him. So there you have it, race 1. Late drama for Jack Holland, who will not be in the reverse grid for race 2.
Let's analyse this one at the moment. Do you think that was just a day late, dollar short? Jack just pushing all that pressure on, not wanting to accept just like that. Just not wanting to accept that P3 place. And unfortunately, a little bit of greediness has cost Jack many, many places. He ends up finishing P8 on that one because he's just angry, he's frustrated. That's why he's hit the loud pedal on the grass. And of course, when you do that, it's all slippery and he has to just see all those other drivers drive on by. So I don't know, sometimes it's like that, isn't it, Ewan? Was it worth the risk? Well, sometimes it is, other times it's not.
Was unfortunate for Holland, I've got to say. I think, he was just trying a bit too hard. Got into the back of Brown and spun around. These are the results, though. It's Scott McFall who wins his 13th race of the season ahead of Mark Brown. McCain on the podium. Prime winner Andy White finishes in 4th place ahead of Peter Woodmore and Craig Couris. That will be the 6 who are reversed for race 2. Jeremy Orlemans finishes 4th in class, just outside of that reverse grid with Jack Holland. Scott Brown and Adrian Hatfield round out the top 10 with Tim Walters, the winner in Am, finishing 11th. Dan Forster finishes 12th ahead of Michael Vester, John Atkinson, Terry Atkinson rounding out the top 15. Scott Bell was just behind the 2 Atkinsons, just ahead of James Hillerick. Ben Groves finishing in 18th place, and the final 2 finishes, who were a little bit far down in that race, were both Am drivers. Curtis Matthews didn't get onto the grid, I'm afraid, for this round. Doesn't seem to be here tonight for some reason, despite the fact he practiced earlier on. So that's a shame for him. But effectively, those results will be how we start race 2, with, of course, the exception of the top 6 being reversed. Clive Comfer and Peter Duke will be starting from the back row by the looks of things. Jack Holland jumps into YouTube chat immediately to say, had a good run in, but clipped his bumper. Good racing, though. It's clearly no hard feeling from him there.
No, that's good. I mean, you're having fun as well, too. So good on you. It certainly was entertaining. As I said, maybe a day late, dollar short, but he's aware of that one. As we've got a few of the Baz Racing saying, good evening, guys, there. We got Walters saying, great job. Tim getting P1 in the AM class, right? And Jason Brooks, Scott needs to be banned. I think that's banned, he's saying. Oh, it's all fun. But why? Why you want to ban Scotty? Because he's just an alien up the road? Well, you know, some drivers are putting some pressure on. The problem wasn't it, Ewan? They were too busy battling for P2 and P3 that they forgot P1 was getting up the road.
Well, yeah, here's the thing, though, and I hear your thoughts on this before we get into this second race. Do you think that Mark Brown and Jack Holland could have stayed with Scott McFall to the end of the race there and given him a go because of the slipstream if they'd have focused less on their battle for second place and more on trying to keep Scott McFall within reach?
That's what I would feel, isn't it? Like, if you want to catch the race leader, you've got to work together somehow in that. It's kind of like NASCAR and stuff like that. You have to work together until the final stages, dying laps of the race. And then it's all guns blazing, every man for himself. That's the way you get it done then. But, you know, the problem was with our battling, you know, because Scotty's up the road. And Scotty's just a beast to beat anyway. So, in itself, everybody on the field, all the other 18 or so, 17 or other drivers there, Ewan, have to work together to beat the man. But he now won't have the opportunity of starting on poles, where he's got to slice and dice his way through the field.
That certainly will. Hearing that it's quite close between, I don't know who myself is, but someone and Tim Walters in the championship. I don't know who that would be. I would have thought it was Sean Atkinson, actually, but he's on a different account, obviously. Joking when he's complaining about that last race. I don't think he's really complaining, but just ruining the fact he got involved in that incident there. Just over a minute and a half remaining in warm-up, so I'll remind you one last time about what's coming up next week here with the Tanso Racing Group. It's the GR86 UK Cup, starting with a 7-round season to bring us to Christmas. So if you fancy racing these cars around UK circuits, and why the hell not, then you can sign up for that. Of course, starting in 1 week's time. We'll be live same time, same place with it next week. Remember, Americans, it is an hour later than it is for you at the moment. Or is it an hour earlier? Anyway, I get confused.
It's 5, just on 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time at the moment in the States.
Yes, so it's normally starts at 3 p.m. Eastern. No, it started at 4 today, but it's sorry. Yes, it's normally an hour earlier than it is today. So just watch out for that next week and for the weeks onwards as well. I do hate this week of the year, with our clocks going back and the Americans deciding to do it.
You don't have the problem in Australia, my friend, where my state hasn't changed for the daylight saving. So, New South Wales and Victoria and so forth, Melbourne and Sydney are on different times than Brisbane now. So it just becomes a little bit of a pain like that too. We're splitting our country up into different our states into different times. Only 2 drivers out on the practice session, just a little bit of a warm up. Hey, gentlemen out there, this is a good time, if you wanted to show off your liveries and stuff like that, so we can purely focus on you on the track. But I think most of them, thankfully, are all coming here for a nice little friendly chat on the JP Broadcasting Network.
Yes. It's we normally get that, so it's quite nice in this series. So we get the drivers in YouTube chat just for a bit of a chat between each other.
Not while they're driving.
It's Terry Atkinson,
right?
Who was there. Okay, so I didn't realise it would be quite so close between Terry and Tim in the championship, but they say that it is going to be. So we'll watch out for that in the final round of the season. The final race of the season, of course. Race number 14 out of 14. Craig Corish will start it from first, ahead of Peter Woodmore and Andy White. Alan McCain, Mark Brown and Scott McFall are the ones who've been reversed. Then Jeremy Aldermans and Jack Holland, who just missed out, with Scott Brown and Adrian Hatfield rounding out the top 10. Tim Walters on pole in AM after that Race 1 win ahead of Dan Forster, who's 12th. 13th place for the AM class will be Michael Vester in their ahead of Sean Atkinson. Terry Atkinson's 15th with Scott Bell. James Hillerick and Ben Grove share row 9, and Clyde Comfer and Peter Duke. Curtis Matthews won't start, I believe, from 21st, but he's more than welcome to, if he does. I don't think he is, though, at the very back of the field. So everybody is pretty much ready to go. Terry Atkinson reminded me of the drop round. This is true, Terry, but it's very difficult to work out as a result. So I'm just going to let them race and see what happens, because otherwise it's going to get very confusing indeed for everybody. Into the final race we go. Craig Courish from the front, getting off to a very good start, and in the background it's not a very good start, I'm afraid, for Jeremy Orlemans, who's immediately passed by Holland and Scott Brown as well, who goes up on the inside line. On the outside, meanwhile, goes Andy White. He's third off the start, but already looking for the lead on the outside line in towards turn number 1. Courish holds firm on the inside, but right round the outside goes Andy White, surely our champion in waiting in the Pro-Am field. He leads on the exit of turn number 1.
What a brilliant start for Andy White. He's gained a couple of positions, but further back, as you can see, there was a few drivers that had a bogged down. It's difficult on a standing start, but so far so good. With teammates battling through the S's as well, Ewan. And let's see if they can all keep it together. Battle for P2 as well.
Oh, that was close. In towards turn 5 they go. Side by side as Courish loses another place, I'm afraid, to Alan McCain, who's now up to second place. And look at Scott McFall again. Side by side this time with Mark Brown. You'd expect Mark Brown to really need to stay ahead here. Jack Holland's right there as well. Can he stay alongside here for turn 9? Brown, yes he can. Here goes Holland. Will he make it 3 wide on the way towards turn 10? No. He's going to stick in behind the champion in waiting, Scott McFarlane. That's a bit of a surprise. Brown will just tuck into line, but my goodness, that was close on the way into the final corner. Holland will look for a better exit than the two of them, but he hasn't really got it. McFall holds fourth for the moment, but Brown is going to be right in the slipstream here and giving this a go in towards turn number 1. He's going to have the slipstream here is McFall from Courish just up ahead here. Will there be a chance in towards turn 1? No. They stay single file as Brown gets down the inside. That's Scott Brown down the inside of Peter Woodmore, and he's through into 6th place at turn 1.
Yeah, Peter, Jeremy, Tim Waltz, there's a lot of drivers go for it too for now on the back there. So switcheroo, Scott McFall, of course, up 2 places up at a P4. So managing to get the job done early. Andy White still holding on, not for too much longer. Actually, my apologies, that's Craig Courish there on Alan McCain. So this is it. So gentlemen, last race of the season. Who wants the glory?
This is it now. Final round. By the way, out of the race, we've already got Scott Bell and Curtis and Peter Duke don't seem to have taken the start here, whatever reason. So they are unfortunately retired from this one. 25 minutes in this second race, of course, a little bit longer with the reverse grid involved. So that's good for us. We can have a little bit more time here at Summit Point, and one final race in this championship as well as they go around the final corner. Here goes Mark Brown, side by side. Oh, sorry, it's just behind Scott McFall and Craig Courish, who are side by side, excuse me. And it's McFall powering through on the outside. Courish breaks really early. Mark Brown will try and follow through here. Oh, and there's contact. He tries to be really aggressive. He does get the pass in the end. He absolutely needs to follow Scott McFall exactly as he is doing.
Yeah, look at Scotty on Mark Brown as well too. So 2 places gained in a matter of a couple of corners there for Scotty. As Mark Brown's going to fight back, of course. He's not going to yield this one as easy, but he will have to lift slowly as he gets onto the racing line. No side by side through here, my friend. We're going to, as we see Mark Brown on board, this is just fantastic. Mark's the bird's eye view of this. And then they've all caught back to Andy White that's leading this race. So Andy White's now going to have Scott McFall on his bumper, and he knows, what am I going to do to keep this alien 371 machine behind me?
It's very tricky indeed to know what to do here. Mark Brown has got to work his way through, I'd suggest, here pretty quickly as well. Got to try and follow McFall anywhere he can, but McFall's not that close to Andy White, who's going to give them a real challenge here, by the way. He's going to really be up towards the front and stay with them, I reckon. But let's see for how long. Scott McFall is already going for this. looking down the inside. He's so good off turn 10. So good, exactly where he needs to be. He's down the inside. He leads again. He's now led in every single race this season. This one, the final race, of course, perhaps the most important, as he completes the set on the season. In towards turn 3, he gives some slipstream back to White again, just to keep the battle for second going. Scott McFall is going to power on into the distance here, with the battle continuing. McCain round the outside, trying to hold on. He gets through on the inside line, and he is now second ahead of this huge battle, as they all try and stay with Scott McFall at the moment, unsuccessfully. White goes for a huge slide, and Brown and Holland are now third and fourth.
I knew something was going to happen between that gaggle of cars behind. So Scotty's lucky. He's just like, I'm out of here. I just don't want to be a part of this party too much, because I can foresee something happening while I am in the future over here in Australia. So I can already tell you what's going to happen, but I don't want to spoil it out there, Ewan. But it's certainly fun. Scotty's just a machine. We knew he was going to get up the road there. And now the drivers, I don't think they're going to really be worried about working together to try to catch him. Let's keep it on the track, Alan.
That would be a good start. It does look like it's going to be a battle for second again here between everybody. Brown going right to the inside defensive line on the road here. Jack Holland moving on the outside line. Can't do it. And Brown breaks very late, trying to hold on. He's followed McCain off the road. 3 wide. Holland's tucked up on the inside. The only driver to really make the apex of the corner. They'll go side by side on the way towards turn 3 now, as Andy White follows them through. He's past McCain now too. In towards turn 3 they go. Holland versus Brown again. And it's Holland who prevails this time round. He's into second, but they were already 2 seconds behind the race leader.
That is some fantastic racing. This is certainly exciting for the last race of the season. We knew it was kind of build up to this one. The dress rehearsal of Heat 1 was over, Ewan, and this is where it's elbows out. Some drivers have got absolutely nothing to lose. Other drivers have got plenty to gain. Have further action. There is still further action at the back between 11th and 12th as well, too, but we just don't have that many cameras, gentlemen. Hold your horses there. Choreograph your overtakes. I don't think they care, Ewan. They're having fun, and they're racing the pants off these machines. They're door banging these Toyotas any way they can to get past.
They certainly are. It's been great entertainment so far here at Summit Point in the reverse grid race. Sean Atkinson leads it, and by the way, by a mile here. 3 seconds is a mile by this circuit standards. Anyway, there is the margin ahead of Tim Walters, as we see the front group come towards turn number 1 here. They stay single file for the first time in this race now on lap number 6. It's pretty remarkable in itself as well. Further back, the big group is mainly battles that are not actually class battles as things stand. Instead, they're in different classes, as Jeremy Ullermans goes off, I'm afraid, at turn number 1 as well here. He's still off, and he's retired, I'm afraid, from the last round of the season. That might well be that for the day, I'm afraid, for Jeremy Ullermans. As we see McCain down the inside of Andy White, who goes off the road there and loses the lead to Craig Corish.
Andy, just a little bit too greedy into the corner, it looked like there for a second. And let's go back and have a look at the replay of what happened to Andy in the slipstream of these cars. And that's Andy.
He wasn't pushed off. He was just,
Andy White
gave loads of room.
I did actually, yeah. I've just got a little bit distracted at the moment, looking forward and looking backwards, of course, because he was in the absolute middle of that exciting racing pack. Scotty's just set the fastest lap, so there he is. I can still see him, so that's okay, but we wonder whether they're going to see him on the same lap 16 minutes from now will be the question.
I'd be surprised if they're still this close in 16 and a half minutes time, but let's see as they make their way out of turn number 1 now. Brown behind Holland. It's interesting that these two are now roles reversed, if you like, from most of the opening race, where we saw Holland trailing Brown. But Brown, in a similar way to what Holland was in that opening race, he's just sticking behind and willing to work with Holland as things stand. Maybe they believe if they work together they've got a chance of catching McFall, although I do think the chances of that are pretty low.
Oh, we thought about that, didn't we, in Heat 1, but didn't quite seem to be as a situation as they're going to go slicing and dusting their way through the S's as a race leader. SP2, P3, P4, P5, P6, P7, I can count. And then you got a bit of a gap down to Sean Atkinson for the TS Liveries machine. He's up 6 places, but so you're going to give it to the 86 Toyota. There's a Toyota out the track there somewhere. Wait, there's 20. Now 18 of them. Ben heads to the pit road. 18 at least racing.
Allemans is out the race, by the way. We saw him pit in earlier. Ben Groves now dropping way out of the race as well. That means we're down to 16 in the field from the 21 that started, as we see Scott Brown down the inside here of McCain, and we see Mark Brown down the inside of Holland, and there's contact here. Scott Brown getting really sideways as he tries to get through on McCain. He can't quite do it. It was easier for Mark Brown, who's gotten through, although Holland's coming back on him. So there's two wides. Holland backs out of his one in towards turn 3. McCain holds on to his ahead of Brown, but he goes for the cutback here to Scott Brown. He moves through onto the outside line. If he can hold it here through turn 4, he'll be on the inside again for turn 5, and he does have it on the inside line. Good overtake from Scott Brown, and he moves ahead of Alan McCain here for 4th place.
Alan had to be very gingerly on the gas pedal as he came out of the corner. You could see the rear end start to slip out of it, so it was a good catch. Otherwise, he could have potentially losing those positions to Craig and Andy that are very tucked up behind in those gearboxes, or the gearbox of Alan. So he was struggling while he's fighting Scotty. But Scotty now has a little bit of breathing space, but it's very easy to run wide, and then all it's happening all over again, which was some fantastic racing. Mark Brown and Jack Holland still battling it out for that P2 position, while Scotty is up the road 4 seconds almost now.
Ben Groves just popping into YouTube chat to say that he's messed everything up with the car. 22 gallons of fuel, no setups, and a shambles. Well, a bit harsh on yourself, Ben, but there we go. In the pit lane at the moment as things stand, as we have Brown back down the inside of Holland here, and back through he goes. Mark Brown into 2nd position. This has the look of a battle that's going to go on right to the very end of the race as we approach half distance now.
I hope you're running straight through the kitty litter, my friend. I'm surprised they keep it pointing in the same direction. Good pressure, absolutely fantastic between these two. Nothing can separate what's going on. Further back, of course, we still got that other battle that's occurring behind Mr. Brown, Alan McCain, and the usual suspects at it here for our final race. There's your group tower, of course, for the Pro AM and Pro AM class, as you can see currently at the moment as well too. All the pro drivers are all in the top 5.
Yeah, indeed. All 5 of the pros, then the Prams and Ams are a bit more mixed up as things stand. So they all go wide. Oh, that's very wide from Holland.
Yeah. And
he's surely going to have a bad... Well, he's still got a decent run onto the front straight, remarkably, despite the fact he ran really wide through the gravel there. And you would have thought would lose a lot of time, but no. He's on the outside. He's squeezed a bit by Brown. He will tuck back to the inside again. He's going to go for the exit here. Oh, he's close. Up over the grass on the right-hand side. Here he goes on the outside now in towards turn number 3. It's going to be an outside move here for Jack Holland if he can make it. He can't, just for the moment. He stays behind, and this all closes the group up. Look at Scott Brown. He's got a huge exit here off of turn 3, and Alan McCain is pushing him here to glory. Through round turn 4 they go. In towards turn 5, they're all late on the brakes, and Holland is going to do well even to hang on to 4th place here. As we look at this from behind, Holland sucked up on the inside of Scott Brown, and he can't hold on, so he loses his podium place here.
Yeah, just like that, isn't it? It's easy to drop a couple of places, especially if we got a super exit out of the kitty litter, which is unsurprising. He's exploring track limits to its absolute limit. And still going on. 5-second gap to our race leader. We can just see him in our picture right now, Scotty. We're going to have to add some weight to that car or something like that anyway and get it scrutineered. What's going on? But I don't think there's nothing these drivers at the moment need to worry about, isn't it? It's a more battle. The battle itself for P2.
And down the inside of Brown. Nope. Stays behind, and the chaos of last lap is firmly put behind them as they go through the end of the first half of this race. Now, just 11 minutes to go in the season. Not loads to fight for these drivers in terms of championship positions, but they're just doing it for the pure enjoyment of racing one another, and that's exactly what GR86 Racing's all about.
And it's certainly fun to get behind the wheel of these cars. A lot of leagues run this. these cars that the drivers love to enjoy them. Thank you very much for tuning in. 26 of you watching out there, the finale of the Tanso Racing Group GR86's league, and Scotty in the lead up the road there, but this is the biggest battle. And let us know too, who you think is going to be able to secure that P2 position with 10 minutes to go now.
It's anyone's guess, I think, at this stage. Anyone's guess. With just over 10 minutes remaining, we of course know who's likely to win this race, and his win is 14th of the season here. Scott McFall, who's wrapped up this championship a long time ago, but behind it's very interesting fight indeed. Holland again, the best exit out of turn 10, but sometimes struggles to use it. Will Mark Brown go on the defensive here from Scott Brown? No, it's going to be Scott defending from Holland, who likes this outside line. I think because it gives him the inside for turn 3, but he was almost so desperate to squeeze down the outside there that he nearly caused an incident, and in the end he has to stay behind in 4th place.
Yeah, do you wait till the last possible lap to get the overtaken opportunities? And remember as well, you're not going to be the only driver thinking about that. You've got the other drivers behind you that are also going to be seizing an opportunity. And you can get a 2-for-1 special around here. We see that when they start door banging. So you've also got to remember, as well as if you make a mistake, well, you're going to drop like the 929 stock exchange as well. And we've seen that last race. So all this is going to go through the drivers' minds as they throw the Toyotas around at nearly 200 kilometers an hour.
It's a lot of fun as they now make their way out of turn 9 again. Here they go. It's Brown, followed by the other Brown, then Holland, McCain, Corish, and Andy White is there as well. He's just hanging back almost as if to expecting an incident, and almost as if he's expecting to have to avoid it. Just hanging back for the moment, or maybe just staying out the way because he knows there is no interest for him championship-wise. He's still in 2nd place overall, of course, in the Pro-Am class. As we have a look again, it's Scott Brown, late on the brakes. Oh, he's up the curb on the inside, he spins. Oh, this is pretty similar to what happened before, I'm afraid. Scott Brown dropping down the order again. He is not going to be finishing on the podium. He's down to 7th place.
This is what happens when a little bit of a mistake is made into turn 1. Last of the late breakers. I'm not quite sure. Did you think Mark Brown actually noticed that he was there as he was turning in? He's turning into a regular corner. That's what happens when you send a late dive in there. You've got to put a lot of faith into the other drivers to see you coming. And I don't quite sure he could see him coming, and that's going to force Scott Brown down to P7.
I think he knew he was there, but just didn't give him loads of room because he didn't need to, frankly. Just give him as little as possible. Let's have another look at this, see if I change my mind. He has looked down the inside. Scott Brown, he's definitely there. Brown, does Mark Brown give him? I think he gives him, no more than is required there, but just the absolute minimum amount of room given there by Mark Brown. As of course he's well within his rights to do. He's not, forced to roll out the red carpet for him by any means. But I think he just gave the absolute minimum in terms of room, which he's allowed to do in towards turn 1.
He's given him the Max Verstappen amount of room. How's that sound?
Yeah, well, that would be less, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Than what he got there.
Just run somebody off the track if you need to. Well, that's defensive driving, and that's perfectly legal. Anyway, no spoilers alert, of course, for the Formula 1 Mexican GP race. That's probably on now, or at least coming to a conclusion. So we can watch that one back later if we have the time. There is currently a battle for P. Well, we had 6 or so, didn't we? I think we had. That's right. We had 5 at least battling it out for that P2 position. It's down to 4. Well,
we've got 5 now. It was 6.
That's right. There we go. I'll get it right. I'll get my math at once. Sorry, it's Australian math, mate. It's different to your UK math.
It's difficult. Yeah. So 5 at the moment in the group, was 6. Of course, Scott Brown dropping down to 7th place as a result of that incident earlier on. In towards the final corner, they now go then. It is 4 leading by nearly 7 seconds now. It's surely home and dry. Who's going to finish second, though? That's the question here. Mark Brown in the final corner, trying to get the best exit possible. It's Holland who's under more pressure from Alan McCain here, actually, on the way down towards turn number 1. Holland will be right up, tucked in the slipstream here. Kane will get the double slipstream. Holland feeling the need to defend, not feeling the need to go for a move there, and Brown just taking a bit of an early apex there. He's clearly watching his mirrors for Holland, who's got a great punch on the exit of turn 1 and 2 here, but I'd be surprised if he goes for it into 3. He'll have bad memories from this, I'm afraid. And he does stay behind for the moment, so just over 5 minutes to go. And it's getting important now where you're positioned in this group. Holland certainly doesn't want to lose this third place.
Alan's actually had to use his windscreen wipers there to get off all that dust of the kitty litter that they're going. And I think this at the moment, Jack's not wanting to seize the opportunity of the overtake. He's just applying the pressure, trying to force Mark Brown into a mistake. Psychological games at play here, psychological warfare between these gladiators. And that's the key. And once again, Alan McCain, he has good bird's eye view. He's got Craig just behind him and Andy White, so he can't afford to make any mistakes, but he's also got to try to seize an opportunity of getting an overtake in the battle for P2 as we are currently live on your pitches for the final time of the season.
Absolutely. Make sure you join us again next week for the UK Cup, starting at same time, same place, 8 p.m. if you're in the UK, 3 p.m. time, and that's 9 p.m. in Central Europe as we go side by side down the straight. It's McCain versus Corrish, and Corrish wants to give himself a bit of extra breathing space ahead of Andy White, but knows he's not going to be able to, and so has to tuck it back in behind Alan McCain again. Wonder whether Andy White is going to give him a bit of grief here, Corrish, in the final few minutes of this race.
Let's see. Mark Brown to hold off. Oh, do they go wide through the kitty litter coming out of the corner? No. Remember, you can actually gain an advantage of that. We just saw that before, but I don't think you want to be doing it too much. Otherwise, when race control look over the race later on, they might be saying, it's a bit naughty. I think the iRacers are giving them a little bit of a lift off or anything, or a penalty. Look at that pressure that Jack is applying to Mark Brown. They give it to Mark Brown as well, because it's not always something that's shown on the highlights too much, isn't it? That fantastic defensive driving you do. It's usually always overtakes that make the highlight reels. I think the defensive driving should also do as well too. Mark Brown showing that he's defending driving skills off to a T.
Ben Groves putting his prediction, by the way, for who's finishing second, as you said earlier on. He thinks Alan McCain is going to get there. I think it's going to be one of these two, personally. I see the vision of maybe these two taking each other off the road and Alan McCain sweeping through to sweep up the pieces, maybe, for second place. But I personally think it's going to be one of these two. I'll go with Jack Holland to avenge that first race. As he now moves to the outside line, doesn't go for it, though. He stays behind. I wonder whether he's more concerned with protecting this third place for the moment, and he's plotting his last lap move, maybe.
Oh, if he makes a mistake and he gets it wrong for a lunge, it will allow Alan McCain to seize that opportunity. And Alan knows that, I think, as well, too. That's why he's got to make sure he hangs with these, and he is. Craig is starting to fall off with Andy White. And so that little five-way party is now turning into a three-way party. Jack is getting really, really hungry, he said, for this revenge race that they're having. But as I said, you've got to keep an eye on Alan, because he is wise to make sure he can seize an opportunity if these two decide to have a dance tangled together, and then unfortunately the barn dance gets closed or something like that. I was trying to work on it, didn't work. Anyway,
just two laps to go. I'll save you, don't worry. 2 laps to go.
Save me.
In this race, just over 2 minutes remaining in the season, and Holland again is going to be having a look. Now, will he leave it till the last lap in the same way that he did in the opening race? I have a feeling that's what he's planning here, but I don't know if it's a good idea based on what happened in race number 1. Let's see, though. Here he goes to the outside. This is the most concerted effort for a little while. Is it a proper go, though? Or is it just to protect his third again? Here he goes, McCain. He looks to the inside of Holland, and he's going to be in trouble here, Jack Holland, if he's not got the good exit. He's okay, though, I think, through turn 2. And McCain has to stay in 4th place at the moment. We go on board with him. Oh, Holland looks to the inside, has to go to the outside, and stays behind through turn 3. It's a very good exit, actually. And Mark Brown didn't get a very good one, I'm afraid. In towards turn 4 goes Holland. He's on the inside line. He breaks early. Oh, there's nearly contact. He's on the outside line for turn 5. If he can stay there, he'll have the inside for 6. But no, he can't quite do it. And Brown hangs on in this penultimate lap.
I want to stay on board, actually, from Alan McCain's perspective, because it's fantastic racing. You can really see how much effort these drivers are putting into both defend and attack. And Jack's throwing everything and the kitchen sink at Mark Brown to try and get past. And Mark Brown's just putting that car in all the right places, making it as wide as possible. And it's fantastic racing. And this could perhaps be... Oh, there it is. So the leaders just crossed the line. So we've still got a minute left. It is a minute 19. So perhaps this could be the penultimate lap there, Ewan.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the last lap now. Oh, there he is. White flags waving from Barney. So we do have one more to go. Last lap of the TVG GR86 series for the season. And here goes Alan McCain looking up the inside line. Oh, a bubble from Brown, who gets it slightly wrong. And Holland surely is going to seize the opportunity. They bang doors on the way through turn 2, but the inside at 3 will surely allow Jack Holland to prevail here. He's on a very tight line. Here goes McCain through as the gravel. Former Brown will just slow him down here. McCain will look left and right in towards turn 4. He doesn't go for it, and he has to stick with the position, does he? Oh, Holland been nervous. And he spun the car. Oh, he was holding second in his hands, and he spun the car. He drops out of the podium places, and Mark Brown gets back into second place again. Alan McCain just in behind him as they make their way to the final corner. Meanwhile, Scott McFall is on his way to win for the 14th time in 14 races. A season of dominance for Scott McFall as he wins every single race in the TVG GR86 series. This time ahead of, is it Mark Brown, who just about hangs on to second place.
Wow, just like that, Holland again. He was holding on so well, wasn't he? He was doing everything he possibly needed to do at that point when he did get a pass, and then just lost it. The rear end stepped out, and then that's all she wrote. So we'll have to go back. It's just fun. You knew something was going to happen, and it certainly did.
Wow, that was a great finish to that race. Here it is again. Let's have a look at the last lap again, because this was fantastic. First of all, Holland to go to the outside here. It looked pretty unlikely that he was going to get through initially, but then look at this. A little bobble for Brown just on the exit. Oh, this must not be the final lap, actually. This must be the penultimate lap, because Holland was through by this point.
Yes.
But was it? Yes, indeed. This is the penultimate lap of the race. But
we'll skip it up a little bit there.
Initially, we'll speed it up. Apologies for the for the slightly fast forward.
It's the only way I could slightly get it to show, but why not? Well, we quickly can get over those race results. We know that Scotty won, but this is crucial because this is the battle that we mentioned, so we are just speeding it up a little bit so that we can kind of see that replay. So the drivers might be tuning in to watch this one too at the moment there, Ewan.
Yeah, Jack Collins saying, wow, good racing, with also a no. Here we go, though. This is what happened in towards turn number 1 on the... is this the last lap? It is indeed. So he wasn't that far alongside, but there's the bobble from Brown, who just allows Holland to get up the inside here in towards turn 3. I thought he would try and squeeze Holland as much as possible to try and get him to go down that tight line through turn 3, and it didn't really happen for him. He got in the gravel. McCain then closed in him, and then this for Holland.
Right there.
Through on the exit. He drops it. Brown hits him, of course, on the way round, but he was already going to spin, I think, for Holland there, and unfortunately drops down to 6th place.
Oh, Scotty might have been doing some burnouts too. Sorry if we missed him there, Scotty, but he'll deserve it. True champion. And sets the standard again for everybody else to say, come and beat me, my friends, because he has been essentially unbeatable this season. Let's go over those results for that exciting cracker of a feature race for the last time this season.
Absolutely fantastic. Scott McFall a winner again, this time 10.1 seconds the margin. Mark Brown gets that second place in the end with Alan McCain on the podium. Craig Courish wins in Pro-Am ahead of Andy White, who was very much keeping himself to himself there during that race. Jack Collins spun, of course, to 6th as we saw. Scott Brown spun to 7th as we saw at turn 1. Dan Forster finished in 8th place ahead of Am winner Sean Atkinson. Adrian Hadfield finishes in the top 10 with Tim Walters down in 2nd in Am. Then Peter Woodmore in 12th place. They finished there. Michael Vester and Terry Atkinson were next, and then those who had a few issues today. Clyde Comfer and James Hillerick were battling for 15th. Jeremy Ullermans was 14 laps down. Ben Groves had a bit of a nightmare, 17 down. Curtis Matthews, Peter Duke and Scott Bell all did not finish, so they are down at, or didn't even start, I should say. So they are all at the bottom. Let's have a chat then to one of the protagonists from that big battle, Mark Brown, who can now join us. Mark, congratulations on 2nd place. What a fantastic battle to end the season. Just tell us your thoughts on that, on those, both of those races actually, because you were involved in big fights both times. It was thoroughly enjoyable to watch. How was it to drive in as well?
Yeah, that was interesting. Hey, good fun there. It's unfortunate with Jack. Hey, he spun twice. I made a mistake in the last lap coming into turn one, and you could see where I was at there. I was holding the inside. It was very easy to defend as long as I sort of knew myself. If he was within 0.2, 0.3 of a second out of the last corner, then he was going to catch me down the pit straight. So I just kept the inside and hope for the best. But I don't know what happened. He just seemed to lose the rear, sort of round the wee S's, so he did. And it was unfortunate now. But I still got my second place. But yeah, it was good fun. I haven't been doing much recently, to be honest. This is the first time on in a couple of weeks. So it's two second places. Can't complain.
It must be very pleased with that to end out the season. As you say, not been here for a little while now. These are your 7th and 8th races in the season, so as I say, only here for 4 rounds. But how have you found it overall, the GR86 series for this season? I think this race personally was the best one to watch. Maybe a bit of recency bias in there, but I think this race was really enjoyable to watch. How have you enjoyed the season as a whole?
Yeah, it's just a pity it wasn't fit to compete the whole season. Like Summit Point, it's not a bad track. I actually quite like it. To be honest, some of them boys is really fast up there. It really was anyone's. Only that I got a real good start off the line on the first race, and then was fit to get ahead of Jack. Then it sort of made it easy, and then the slipstream down the pit straight. Although from that there, you see the qualifying times and stuff, and even in practice times, some of them boys is very fast. And fair plays to them. It just goes to show how they've come on. People I was racing with a couple of seasons ago was asking for tips and advice and what else, and I was helping them out. But now they've went past past me now. It's hard to try and keep up with these boys. So fair plays to them, and it's great to see so many people up there now fighting.
It is. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before I let you go?
Yeah, just yourselves. Hi, brilliant broadcast. I mightn't have been competing all season, but I've been watching, and great job, boys. You couldn't commend you enough. And same for Tanso and everyone, all the racers and stuff. It wouldn't be possible without them. So thanks to all them, all the racers and all the members of Tanso. Maybe not everyone races in the GR6, like they do have a lot of endurance and GT3, GT4 racing too. So there's always plenty of racing in Tanso. So if anyone out there wants to get involved, join the Discord and you'll find something. So, and same to John and all the admins too. Thanks a bunch for all them boys. And it's unfortunate John wasn't here this evening. He had to work. So, but yeah, thank you very much and enjoy your evening.
Thanks very much.
And
I got second place
Scott again. Actually, sorry, I just got to hand to Scott. Like he's just at another level. So fair play to Scott. Like I wish he knew how he done it. I'd say there's a lot of people thinks the same, but congratulations to Scott for winning in the pros, and I think Alan might have been second to us, Alan McCann. So fair play to them, boys. So.
Absolutely. Thanks very much for coming to chat to us, Mark. Congratulations on second twice tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much. Take care. All the best.
Thanks very much. Cheers. Mark Brown there, second place tonight in both races. Alan McCain was third. I'm not entirely sure Scott McFall's actually there at the moment, so I hope he is, but I'll just wait to get confirmation of that. We'll bring Alan McCain in the meantime. Welcome, Alan. Good to have you with us. And third place for yourself in race 2 here tonight. Tell us about that last lap in race 2. And actually tell us about the race from your perspective in race 2, because it was a thoroughly enjoyable watch. You were involved in a great battle there.
It was unreal. The amount of good racing, clean racing, may I add, was really good. Enjoyed it. Just hope next season's like this as well.
Yeah, I mean, look forward to seeing you, of course, in the UK Cup, which, as I've said before, is starting next week. Here, same time, same place. How have you found the season as a whole? We haven't had a chance to chat to you very much this season, but how have you found it as a whole through the 7 rounds?
To be truthful, I have struggled a rather lot. The only thing that has helped me so much this season is the fact that the pros the pro class seemed to drop down to like 3 or 4 drivers closer to the end there, which is it's kind of helped me along a bit, which means I was always throughout the year fighting with the pro ams, but just have to try dig deeper for next season and try harder.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to seeing you during the UK Cup, certainly. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Just Tanso for running the series and yourselves for doing such a great job in the broadcasting.
Thanks very much. Alan, thanks for coming to chat to us, and congratulations on getting podium tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Alan McCann there, third place tonight in race 2. And of course, the race winner from both of our races today is Scott McFall once again. Welcome in, Scott. Good to have you with us. Was there ever a stage in either of those 2 races that you were a little bit worried that you wouldn't win that one, especially in race 2, I guess, when you got to come through the field? Were you ever concerned?
Like you said there, so mainly race 2 for the reverse kid, because the times were obviously pretty close. I knew for race 1 having a wee run at the front, hopefully if we could have got any kind of gap and keep the guys behind fighting, it would have made it easier. But into race 2, for the first 5 minutes, it was sort of just see where it goes, find the space where it became available, and it worked out quite good early on in the second race to get out in front again and just keep it comfortable.
You've won all 14 races this season now. I mean, how has the season been as a whole, other than the obvious you must be pleased to win all 14? But has it been a bit of a lonely season at times for you? Because it certainly looked like it.
Definitely, at certain points throughout it, the gap was a wee bit further out there. So, yeah, to say it wasn't would be not right. But no, the season altogether has been good. I think it's very well put together. John puts a lot of hard work in behind the scenes to get everybody involved. So hopefully with the broadcast with yourselves and everything like that, it'll attract a few more drivers as well, and we'll see again hopefully a variety of different skill levels in the league.
Absolutely, would be nice to see. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Give a shout out obviously for John, guys at Tanso, do a lot of hard work behind the scenes. Yourselves for the broadcasts week in, week out. It's always a good laugh to look back over the race and find some of the funny moments throughout it. And also if a shout out to the sponsors that get involved with the league, they help make the broadcasting possible. And I'll give a wee small shout out at the end to a couple of the guys throughout the season that were doing a bit of driver coaching and that. They seem to have really good progression throughout it, so a shout out for the guys at the end.
Thanks for coming to chat to us, Scott, and congratulations on a 100% season.
No worries, guys. Have a good one. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Scott McFall, their winner tonight, as he has been in all 14 of our races this season. Well, Biggles, that'll do it for the season. Scott McFall, the easy winner, but the excitement was really for second place, both in race 1 and 2. That second race as well, a great way to end the season with that fight.
Exactly, and you heard from the drivers, isn't it? They are really ecstatic about the level of driving, the quality of driving that they all had between it, and the fun and good wheel-to-wheel racing. That's something that this league should be very much proud of, and that's what you want to have, because you just can't. It's just magic that gels together when you get the right drivers and the right league, the right cars, all doing that sort of battling. Otherwise, it could be opposites. You could have toxicity and all that sort of stuff that does occur in other leagues and things like that sometimes. But not here, my friend. Good racing, and I think Scotty himself would like to be a part of all that with the other drivers too. But the only way he gets to double bang with them is to fight his way from reverse grids all the way through, which he's been doing all season long. Congratulations, Scotty, world champion.
Yep. Congratulations to him, and maybe he can go on to be UK Cup champion next season as well. But for now, that is it from us. A big thanks to everyone who's joined us here for the TVG GR86 series. It's been great to hear from you. Great to have your company over the course of the 7-round season. We end here at Summit Point Raceway, but the racing here at the Tanso Racing Group does not finish here. We're back in 1 week's time for the first round of the UK Cup that will be starting 8 p.m. UK time here on JPB, as well as we've had this season as well. Same time, same place. So make sure you join us for that. Opening round at Brands Hatch. It kicks off in 1 week's time. For now, though, from myself, Ian Leary, and Dean Biggles alongside me, it's goodbye for now. We'll see you in the UK Cup in 1 week's time.